I'm Pat Purdy. I'm the Vice President of Absence and Productivity at Pacific Resources. And today I'm in San Francisco attending the IBI Annual Forum. It's our pleasure this morning to have an opportunity to chat with Tom Perry, who's the President of IBI. We look forward to listening to Tom's thoughts about absence, health, and productivity, both from his 22-year perspective and going forward for organizations in the United States. Hi, Tom. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me this morning.
My pleasure, Pat.
I know this is a busy and momentous week for you. Not only is it the annual IBI conference, but it is your last conference as president of the organization, and you've announced that you're going to be retiring as president just, I think, next week. So first and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You created a vision 22 years ago of starting an organization that focused on health and wellness and productivity and the integration of benefits, and 22 years later, you have well over 1,000 employer members, representing 20 million employees in the United States. So truly a fruition of a vision you've had and worked for the last few decades.
You know, when we started in 1995, we really had no idea where it was going to go. We just knew that the conversation had to change about what health meant, both to employees and employers. And as you know, employers were organized. They had their group health program in one place and disability someplace else and workers' comp in a third place. Those people rarely talked to each other. And they were really missing an opportunity to really understand why health was important, not only to their employees, but to the business. And so we had this idea that there was a place for an independent research organization to help both employers kind of break down the silos, at least from an information standpoint, and then at the same time help suppliers better understand the broader view and vision of employers so they could support them more fully as they went forward.
As you think about integration and integration of those various silos, where do you think we are today? What progress has been made, and are there still some areas that need some focus to further bring those things together?
You know, when we started, there was a lot of conversation, I think, about creating a single entity within the employer to manage everything. Not surprisingly, there's a lot of political pushback within the employer from various places about not wanting that to happen. People didn't want to lose their jobs. They were really afraid that they would lose their work. Mm-hmm. And I think what's happened over time is the integration of information, not so much the integration of employer structure around these benefits. And I think that's a good thing. Yeah. So I think what happens now, and I think what's driving this today, is that the silos are all looking for their value. They're all being asked by senior leaders, what are you bringing to our organization? And that's forcing them out of their silos, because you can't solve health and productivity in an individual silo. You have to connect them.
Tom, you and IBI have helped organizations better understand the C-suite, helped organizational leaders and HRs know what's important to the C-suite and how to communicate better around health and productivity programs to get the attention of the C-suite. As you think about the work that you've done in that area, how have you seen that change and improve over time?
You know, we've published 4 major studies with CFOs, starting about 12 years ago and ending up just 2 years ago. I think what we've seen is a shift from it's all about healthcare cost to it's all about how do we maximize the value of our human capital and their health. So for example, when we published our latest survey, we asked 345 CFOs, what are the 3 most important things you want to achieve in your health programs? Now, 12 years ago, the overwhelmingly most important thing would have been control healthcare costs. Fewer than 50% of the CFOs in this latest survey said controlling healthcare costs was the most important part of their health program. So they are now thinking about attraction and retention in health. They're thinking about how do we work with our employees to improve their health. They're thinking about business performance and productivity. So CFOs have a much broader view of health than they used to. And I think vice presidents of benefits and risk managers need to understand they've got to change their part of the conversation to support what their CFOs care about. And I think that's what's dramatically different today than it was 12 years ago.
So Tom, what is it that HR professionals and business leaders responsible for health and productivity programs need to still do to firm up those conversations with their C-suite?
I think you can't assume what's important to the C-suite. I think there's still an assumption that what matters is only cost. And I think they need to sit down with their CFO and say, help me understand what your strategy is around health. 85% of the CFOs tell us they're involved in making strategy decisions around health today. So it's very important for vice presidents of benefits and even HR and risk managers to talk to the C-suite about what's important. The other missed opportunity, I think, thus far is to talk to the VP of operations, because the health of people influences how they perform at work and thereby how good they are at what their jobs are. So I think talking to the VP of operations about what are your key operational metrics and how does the health of our workforce influence those is a tremendous opportunity to get the support of the operational side of the business while you're seeking to get support from the financial side of the business.
Tom, as you think about your 22-year tenure at IBI, what do you see have been some of the greatest challenges that employers have faced related to health and productivity issues?
You know, I think the ongoing challenge for employers and their partners is around data and information. Employers tend not to be very good at data. Employers tend to have data in silos. And I would say that their vendor partners have, in some sense, not helped their clients understand what's important. So what I've seen is a vendor, not knowing what may be important to the employer, thinks that providing voluminous reports to the employer is somehow adding value and demonstrating their worth. All that does is confuse employers. So I think the challenge has been using information and data to identify what's important, what's actionable, and how to proceed. And I think the challenge I see today is as technology improves, we see the ability to produce more and more and more analysis and reporting and bury employers in information that's not helping them make the key decisions. That's an ongoing and continuing issue for employers and their partners.
Right, sure. More is not always better.
More is rarely better. And I think that's one of the things that employers, because from the employer's viewpoint, they're working with 30 or 40 vendors, and they're getting reports from everyone, oftentimes in different segments of the population, and they don't know what to do with it. No one is helping them put it all together and say, here are the 3 things you should focus on, and here are the 3 things you should do.
What advice would you give to consultants like Pacific Resources that help employers focus on productivity and absence management?
You know, I think fundamentally, you manage your programs perhaps in a silo, but you have to spend time thinking beyond the silos. You have to spend time thinking about how this relates to your business and help connect health to business performance. And that really, I think, means help connect those people to their C-suite and their operations. So if consultants and brokers can help their clients be more valuable within their organization strategically, then they're doing their clients a great service, and then they're really helping the entire employer organization, not just the person they've been working with for years.
Let's move on and talk about the future of IBI and the organizations that IBI supports. First off, what will your role be going forward?
You know, I'm retiring, as you know, but I'm not disappearing. You know, when you put 22 years into a set of issues, you don't just say, well, I'm done now. So I will transition to President Emeritus of IBI. I will continue to support IBI, certainly work on these issues, certainly work with employers around helping them better understand this. This is too important to the United States and our economy and our people to simply say, it's been an interesting career, I'm done. I'm certainly not done, I'm just changing my role.
Okay, well that's good news for all of us. What do you think will be the critical agenda elements for IBI in the next few years?
You know, with Chris McSwain coming on, replacing me as president, and Chris has a very deep and long background in working in employer benefits. I think that's critical because I think there are a lot of employers out there that intuitively understand these issues go beyond healthcare costs, but they don't know what to do. And I think IBI has a tremendous opportunity to work with our employer members and help them share together what's working and what the path is to follow in moving from poor health to better health and a productive workforce and a productive business. So I think Chris will bring in that perspective and that opportunity to more closely work with and engage our employer members to their benefit in helping our supplier members better understand this rapidly and dynamically changing environment.
Tom, as you transition now from your president role to president emeritus, thinking about the last 22 years in this organization, what final thoughts do you have for the member companies and the supplier organizations at IBI?
You know, first of all, never lose sight of why health matters. Never lose sight of the fact that it's a broader issue than just a single program. Never lose sight of there's an opportunity to connect what's important to employees with what's important to the employer. To a great extent, healthcare has been a zero-sum game. Employers shift costs to employees. One of the reasons that we started IBI is to break that down and show that both sides can win through better health and better productivity. So I think focusing on that connection, focusing on the information that will help you understand those relationships is what's going to be critical going forward.
We've appreciated your dedication and passion around this topic, and are particularly happy to hear that you're not going away, just transitioning to a new role. But Tom, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you again, and congratulations for a very successful leadership career at IBI.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Greatly appreciate it.